welcome to the Entre Nous. Today, I am honored to welcome back Casey Jones, founder of happiernomad.com, for our second conversation on the Entre Nous. Since our last interview, Casey's journey has continued to expand through retreats, pilgrimage, service, studies, and profound encounters with cultures, teachers, and communities around the world. Casey has beautifully integrated his training with the Happiness Study Academy into a conscious nomadic life, where every place becomes a classroom and every encounter a lesson. His path speaks of healing, purpose, and the courage to answer the inner calling. Welcome back, Casey. It's an honor to have you in the Entre Nous one more time.
Thank you, Laura, for having me.
Casey, since you're training at HSA, how has the way you interpret your nomadic experience changed? Do you now see them more through awareness rather than coincidence?
Yes. No, I love that question because it's a melding of both. And to clarify, so I started studying with Tal Ben Shahar, the founder of HSA, Happiness Studies Academy, that you just mentioned. I started studying him in 2014, and I had completed 3 ICF certifications by early 2019. And so his teachings inspired my decision to cultivate my calling. So yes, in the healing communities across cultures and belief systems, a common theme is that there are no coincidences. And we just mentioned this before we came on, but Deepak Chopra calls it the synchrodestiny. When you're on the right path, the right people, opportunities show up, and it is a humbling sense of universal giving when you notice this, that the universe will reflect what you send out into the world. So I don't think of it as coincidences anymore, as much as I have an awareness that it's happening when it happens, and it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. In Osaka, 3 unrelated people recognize you as a collective healer. How do you integrate that message with the Aspire model and your personal journey?
Good question, Laura. I really think that the truth is I'm still figuring out how to integrate it, but I put this heavy onus upon myself when I first heard that, like oh, I have this mission, this spiritual mission, and I've learned to tone all that stuff down and just say, because in the healing circles, it's not uncommon to hear we are all healers. Because those who go through the pain and through the deep work it takes to process their own healing, then can help heal others. And it's not a magical power. It's just love being shared. So to be told you are a collective healer is slightly intimidating when you're navigating this space. It's like I haven't been, like I might have been voted in high school the least likely to go to the circle of woo, the woo circus. But spiritually, it means you can heal ancestral generations and future descendant generations.
Yes.
But simplify it and look inward to heal myself, and then show others how to find their path. And humanity can only benefit from the more people who do this. So possibly we're all collective healers.
And also because every time we teach something that when we teach something that we live, an experience that we live, we also heal ourselves. Every time it's a little bit more and a little bit more. That's the beautiful thing, right? Of teaching.
Well, yes, and it's funny. I'm going to do a little segue here, but so I went through this sun healing ritual practice here in Jaipur, and so by a local sun healing priest And it was a 7-day process where you learn to activate your chakras through the elements of
Mhm.
earth at your root. And then as you go up, it's water, fire, air, and then the three higher chakras are all the ether space. And when you get those all in alignment, it really creates an amazing healing experience. But what it helped me realize is the simpler the message, the more likely it's universal truth. And that's what I've been out looking for, universal truth.
Wonderful. You've experienced ceremonies, like you were saying right now, retreats, tantra communities, yoga, permaculture, and volunteering. What have you discovered about true healing when you live in constant movement?
Okay, I'm going to go back to some of my. I hope I didn't. I was like, I wanted to answer so much when you asked that, because it's like, oh my gosh, Wayne Dyer was one of my teachers, and back in 2012, I listened to his series called From Ambition to Meaning, which I've evolved to say from ambiguous ambition to mindful meaning. And
Mm,
uh, it's about present purpose. Everything, these are Tao's two principles for spiritual whole being. If you're mindfully present here in the now, and you have purpose, that makes all of the regret of yesterday and the fear of the future dissolve, and it just. So what Wayne taught me was, I've been so stupid. I've been pushing to get out of this room, and of this prison that I built for myself, until I finally realized, oh, the door opens inward. And I think I shared with you before, Laura, that on my first winter in Pachamama in Costa Rica, the Tantra Yoga community, that my first month was tears and just trying to overcome the grief of the loss of my marriage and what seemed like the end of the world at the time. And
mhm.
and I was just a mess for a whole month, and then, well, 3 weeks, whatever it was, an amount of time, until finally somebody must have said the right thing to me, and I just went inward. I said, "Don't worry what's going on out there," and I went inward, and then all of a sudden, Pachamama opened up to me, and it became such a beautiful teaching of expansion of consciousness,
Mhm.
because I went inward to accept and heal my own pain, and then accept others where they were, and without judgment. So it's like, if we all do our own shadow work, as they call it,
Yeah.
and address our perceived dark sides of our nature and integrate that into our day-to-day lives, it's about loving ourselves first and then sharing that love. And that's how, what I've discovered about my true healing and how I move it forward.
Amazing. Your upcoming book, because I know that you're writing or you already finished. I don't know. You have to share that with me. And the
Yeah.
title is From the Abyss to Bliss to This. Speaks about cultivating your calling. Was there a precise moment when you realized this is no longer just travel? This is purpose.
Okay. There are three beats. It can never be as simple as one for me, right? It's it's yes. When I arrived at Cartagena, see, I was going to go to India first, and then they announced the HSA retreat in Cartagena, and so I knew I had to go to Cartagena. I knew I wanted to be with my HSA peers. I knew I wanted to turn these virtual friendships into real life hugs,
Mhm.
and peers seeing peers, and that gave me hope. And then the second was a year later, literally, when we went to another HSA retreat in Mexico City.
Mhm.
Then I spoke on stage and and that was the first time I shared my experience to a public audience, HSAX. And I felt like I was seen by my peers. And that was a beautiful experience. But I will say the pinnacle moment of knowing that I had arrived with purpose was when I walked on the stage at the Global Happiness Forum in Jaipur in September of 2025, and which led to me speaking at 7 universities, teaching several executives leadership skills, guiding their companies, and several workshops. And it's all been I've been asked by 2 foundations to help them grow their businesses, and it's just been such a joy. But to narrow it down and answer you, I would say that one precise moment was stepping on the stage at the Global Happiness Forum.
And after so many countries, teachers, and traditions, what inner practice has become your anchor, your internal home, beyond physical location?
Okay. So one of the unexpected moments was I was asked by one of the young men he's an AI startup guy, and he's also spiritual, and we bonded. And I'm helping him, he's helping me. And anyway, he introduced me to his spiritual teacher, and that person asked me to come and speak at his event, which was called Astrovastu. I don't know astrology. I didn't know Vastu, but the
It's
reality
wonderful.
but the reality is, yeah, and this was at the National Ayurvedic Institute here in
Yeah.
Jaipur. It was like, and I can tell you, Laura, happily, humble share. When I looked out at this audience and a tiered seating arrangement and several hundred people, and back in America when I started doing namaste, gratitude hands, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and the true meaning of namaste is the divine in me sees the divine in you.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I just got up there and I was a little choked up, and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, why, oh, why did they ask me to be here? But I knew there was a reason. And so almost all of them raised their hands back to me. And I said, oh, I know I'm connected with this audience. And so, and what it was emphasizing what I've learned is it's internal, like Tao has taught us, that which is most personal is also universal. And what I had learned, the little bit I learned about Astrovastu is, there's an alignment. Oh, there's a divine dharmic path that's laid out for us. It's not necessarily destiny, but there's a channel that you can go where you are more in tune with what is natural for your soul. And I said, little did I know, living nomadically, that I was living a 85-90% Vastu life. Wherever I went, I set up my little altars, I burned incense, I had my rituals, I did sunrise yoga, and all these things that line up perfectly. Little did I know I was living an Astrovastu life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so to answer you, I go to church every morning. So my inner practice, my anchor is that Tal teaches it. He says, create a non-negotiable morning practice. Now,
Mm-hmm.
with where I'm at in my life, I can afford 3 hours. But I combine meditation and music and intention and gratitude and yoga all in one, and I won't get onto anything else until I've centered myself with that. And so that is my anchor. That's my eternal home. And it doesn't matter where I am, because home is where the heart is.
Exactly, exactly. It's the same for me. I have the same rituals, and I'm so happy that you visit the Ayurvedic Institute in Jaipur because I was there also. I told you
Ah,
before I was a month there because I
ah.
am a Ayurveda consultant, and it's amazing. Vastu is it's vast. I always say that I need maybe 3 lives to finish study Ayurveda because Ayurveda has everything.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
for every problem, it has a solution. It's
Yes.
amazing. And yoga is the family of Ayurveda, and also meditation, and also Vastu and Tantra, and, everything is together.
Well, and Laura, if you don't mind, the simplification. So I mentioned that in regard to finding universal truth. I
Hmm.
think knowledge and words complicates these things. I
Yeah.
think simplification and minimalistic living, like I chose to do, it brings you the clarification,
Yeah.
because it's the stillness, right? It's when we go inward and we're quiet, and that's when our soul and source and all the good energies can align. We can align with and learn more about what is our best path.
It's where your true self reside, and when you meditate and you have that as a practice every day, one day you realize how wonderful it is to be with you. And that
Yeah.
every single day, it's just you and you. You with yourself. It's amazing. Casey, as someone trained in HSA and now facilitating well being, what do you believe the world needs most right now? Knowledge, awareness, or courage?
So I just kind of mentioned that,
Yeah.
I think often that knowledge and I'm going to step back a second and say part of my mission
Mhm.
is one of simplification, clarification, and connection, because, well, Aldous Huxley wrote back in, I believe, the 1950s, wrote a book called The Perennial Philosophy, which was kind of like what Theosophy was trying to do in combining the best thoughts from across cultures and religions, and just finding the universal good. And I feel like that's part of my mission right now. And no matter what religion I've come across, feel like they got busy saying too many words. And it's not a judgment. It's just my personal observation. I don't like to be bound by too many rules. I'm very much in line with Lao Tzu and Taoism. The more rules you make, the more rule breakers you'll have.
Mhm.
And so I think that that's what's wrong with traditional education, is that we have this habit of thinking that rote memorization is the best way to go, and the truth is that's not. Just memorizing facts is
Mhm.
not. It's not learning. It's not. It doesn't prove. It certainly isn't wisdom. And so again, Tal Ben Shahar, he left academia. He was a former professor at Harvard, as you and I both know. And he left academia because he said, I didn't want to read about knowledge and life. I wanted to live my life. And the
Exactly.
wisdom comes from living the experience, which was another big influence for why I went on my path. But so, and then we're taught the three A's, counseling, therapy follows this. It's you first have to be aware that you have a problem. So awareness is critical. And then you have to accept it. And then you have to take action on it. And without the action, you can't achieve the positive, lasting transformation that we all aspire to. And
Mhm.
that's where the courage comes in. You have to take the action. And in fact, I'm going to blend in manifestation with that, because um, what I heard that I love was that, yes, the people that teach that manifestation is just ideating and wishing to yourself, I need this amount of money, or I need that beautiful woman in my life,
Mhm.
or whatever it is, and boom, poof, like magic, it'll appear. No, you then have to engage in a plan of action. And then not only that, you have to have the perseverance to overcome obstacles that are inevitably going to come in your way. And that's how you manifest things.
Exactly. Exactly. Casey, at the World Health Wellness Festival, you nominated Dr. Tal Ben Shahar for recognition, and he was honored for illuminating the path to lasting happiness. What did that moment mean to you personally as an HSA graduate?
Hmm. Thank you for the question. I've had several very influential teachers in my life. I would say that nobody comes within 100 times. I mean, Tal Ben Shahar not only changed my life, I feel like he saved my life. And he certainly showed a path to me of forgiveness, to choose a path of happiness and to bring it to others. And for that, I am ever indebted. So no, it's funny because it's right here, and that's why I was kind of looking over there. But
Yeah. You
here's
will give it, yeah.
here's the plaque that they gave, because so when we go to Athens for the
Yeah.
HSA, I will get to hand deliver it to Tal, and that will be another moment of more tears of humble gratitude.
Amazing. At the Global Happiness Forum in Jaipur, Casey, you didn't just speak, right? You were invited to actively help build the future of the event. How did it feel to see your personal healing journey evolve into a collective service?
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think this is best shared. So I have a friend in Chicago who's developing a wellness clinic, and he wants to do retreats with me. So we were talking quite a bit at that time, and I was sharing with him all these things that were happening. Like, oh, I've got invited to this university, and then that university, and that university, and these two different foundations have asked me to help guide them into their future, better future. And he said, well, how does that all feel? And oh my gosh, Laura, I
Mm.
said, it feels like 2 years ago in the jungle at Pachamama started manifesting. I was writing a script for my future, my ideal future. And all of a sudden, flash forward 2 years, and I was living the lead role in my own imagine that came from my own imagination. It was my dream manifested, and that's what it felt like.
Amazing, amazing, Casey. Yeah, because from the first interview that we had, to this one, it's just it's wonderful to see how things are being, evolving for you, and what you're giving to community. Amazing. And Casey, after everything you've lived, healed, learned, and shared across continents and communities, what does happiness truly mean to you today? Not as a concept, but as a lived experience.
Okay, so I think I've shared with you before, but kind of my part of my mission as I'm going to these different cultures is, I like to say, I'm celebrating cultures through connections, community, co-creation, and all of that is happening, and it's like, and that makes me happy. And a little sub thought of all of that was that I wanted to make every place a little bit better than it was when I got there. So I could say in Oaxaca, I created this 10-day workshop for these kids that were so grateful. And it was such an amazing experience to go through. And then I go to Turkey and I get treated like a king. And I went on this Rubik pilgrimage, and the academic couple that hosted me have now asked me to create this academic articles on called Sacred Sites. And and the fact that these people are reflecting back to me how I want to be seen as somebody that's a good person in the world, that's doing good for others, who's making the world a slightly better place. They're reflecting it back to me because they want to stay connected. And to me, nothing makes me happier. So to be on this unwavering commitment to stay on my passion path to present purpose, as I like to say,
Yeah.
it's the more mindfully present we are in the generous present moment, is as long as we stay set. And my foundation is of humility, gratitude, joy, and loving kindness. If I have those four things going for me every day, I'm going to have a good day. And I remind myself every morning, I remind myself at night, part of my rituals, but that's happiness for me.
Yes, of course. And because you are so happy and because everything that you feel is so humble and so beautiful, well, the world is showing you the same thing back, right? It's
I
amazing,
believe so.
Casey. Well, we are in our last question, Casey. And if you could leave one message for those listening who feel called to change their lives but afraid to begin, what would you tell them from the heart?
I think um, it can never be one thing with me. But it's I think of the lowering of resistance, because for me, people like me, that just were uncomfortable in their existence in this world, you have to go inward and surrender to a spiritual humbling, to say that it's okay and I know there's a better way. It's okay and there's a better way. And upon that, you build the humility, gratitude, joy, and loving kindness that I just mentioned. But
Mhm.
most importantly, be good to yourself. When we can find a way to forgive ourselves and love ourselves, then we can share that with everyone else in the world. And if we all did that, it would be a better world.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you, Casey, for your openness, your wisdom, and your beautiful nomadic spirit. It has been an honor to share this space with you once again until our paths cross again. Thank you very much, Casey.
Thank you, Laura. Take care.
You too.
Bye.